I hope you all are doing well. It is Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day. So for those who have served past and present, thank you for your service. As of right now, I just want to share the U.S. debt clock with you guys. As of this recording, it's a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. Silver is at $30.93, and gold is down to $26.37, down $66 today right now. A lot of the videos and information I'm going to share with you guys is very telling. It is where we are right now, but there is this great awakening. A lot of people are waking up to what isn't working, things we need to get back to the basics, which is very important. So we're going to jump into very telling, very sad videos, but again, there's this shift. It is very much happening right now. Call it a great awakening, call it golden age, whatever the case may be, but it's very much happening. Starting off with this one. I can't play the audio, but this young man just bought an AMG Mercedes, 0 down, $299 a month for 783 months. I did a double take, so let's just take out the old calculator, do a little fun math here. So $299 a month for 783 months brings you to $234,117, and we don't know what the interest is. And let's hop over to a college campus and see how other math is going.
Dimes are in $3.
Dimes are in $3?
Yeah.
18?
18 dimes. There you go. How'd you do that?
Wait. So there's 6 dimes in $1.
Facts.
So
yeah.
there's dimes 10 cents. Dimes 10 cents. There's 18. There's 18.
18? All right, bet.
You're making me think
Nah,
I'm wrong.
yeah, my bad. How many dimes are in $1?
That's a lot of math. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, last question.
Mm-hmm.
How long is a quarter of an hour?
25 minutes.
There you go. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
haven't done math in forever.
Yeah. Keep going, though. It's 15 minutes, actually.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Did I not get anything right?
No. Okay.
Is that getting right?
Can you name me 3 countries outside of North America?
South America.
There you go.
Europe.
Europe.
And Asia.
And Asia, there you go. Those are all continents, though.
Oh, gosh.
How long is a quarter of an hour?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, sorry.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's wrong. It's 15.
Oh, that does make sense. A quarter, yeah. So
Yeah,
let's be split.
How many dimes are in $3?
If you can homeschool your family, please do so. You can avoid this from happening. Look at this next one.
How much did you put down?
1,000.
All right, how much was your monthly payment?
389.
Okay. How long are you financing for?
267 months.
All right, congratulations, okay?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I just kind of stared at it.
How much did you put down?
1,000.
All right, how much was your monthly payment?
389.
Okay. How long are you financing for?
267 months.
All right, congratulations, okay?
Again, not knowing the interest, it's $103,863.
How much did you put down?
1,000.
All right, how much was your monthly payment?
We're gonna hop back to college again. This is NYU.
Hello, my name is Jacob, and my concentration is environmental science and sustainable business.
Hi, my name is Lex, and my concentration is the performance of self.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. My concentration is creative direction, production, and narrative through the arts, performance, and written word.
Hi, my name is Karina Gomez, and my concentration is in journalism and Latin American studies with an emphasis in human rights, collective memory, and political violence.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Lee, and I studied the sociology of environmental communication.
Hi, my name is Reed, and I study music business and gender studies.
Hi, my name is Dominique, and I studied care politics with a minor in disability studies.
My name is Elliot Wright, and my concentration is art as a social mechanism.
Hi, I'm Georgia, and my concentration is dramatic writing and theatrical adaptation.
My name is Noah Loyacano, and my concentration is equilibrium or negotiated paradox.
Hi, my name is Sophie Lopez, and my concentration is titled Queering and Decolonizing Theater Practice. Hi, my name is Maya, and my concentration is journalism, postcolonial studies, and psychoanalysis.
Hi, I'm Eloise. I'm graduating with a concentration in philosophy of science and theater.
My name is Amina, and my concentration is titled The Criminal Mind, which is surrounded on criminology and applied psychology.
Hi, my name is Juliana. My concentration is international business and fashion through sustainable development. Yay!
Hello, my
But wait, guys, there's so much more.
What did you put down?
$0 down.
How much was your monthly payment?
$5.99.
For how long?
427.
I'm so happy I'm not the only one doing this. $255,000 for a Toyota Camry. But this guy went the extra mile and actually looked up how much a new 2024 Toyota Camry sells for.
What did you put down?
$0 down.
How much was your monthly payment?
$5.99.
For how long?
427.
$30,000 or a starter home on wheels. But like I said, people are waking up, so I love this segment. I actually agree with this. This one and the next one.
What do people your age think about it, about feminism?
They don't think that it's a conspiracy being, like an anti-natalist, satanic
uninformed.
conspiracy.
They're uninformed.
I think you might have a little something going on.
Oh,
But, I think that's
Listen,
right.
hold on.
No.
Do you ever notice that people like this right here who have to justify or explain their thoughts or reasoning or beliefs, whatever the case may be, the minute they can't, they attack and call the other person crazy or stupid or fill it, bigot or sexist, whatever the case may be. But I love the fact that they're actually holding her feet to the fire.
You got to qualify that statement a little bit.
She's calling me crazy, even though it's well documented that Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent.
back you up, girl. I think you have a little conspiracy-minded thing going on where you're looking for a conspiracy in everything.
No, I just am informed and educated, and I'm not arrogant enough to assume that my ignorance means that somebody else is crazy. But
I can also say I'm informed and educated, and we can go back and forth saying that forever.
Well, so do you know then
But one's
that
proving it.
what she's saying about Gloria Steinem is not only correct, but that through the Congress for Cultural Freedom in the 60s and 70s, the CIA was pushing feminism through like 40 different publications around the world. They sent, people to festivals.
So what if Gloria Steinem was like a CIA operative? Gloria Steinem's not the only feminist
I'm
in
saying
the world.
it's not just her. I'm saying
I'm
the
not
Congress for Cultural Freedom, which was a widespread CIA program that went around the world in dozens of countries and had hundreds of magazines, newspaper outlets, all pushing feminism. This was not just like one lady. This was like a broad effort during the Cold War to kind of differentiate Western liberal values from Russia. So they pushed feminism and the sexual revolution.
Are you anti classical liberalism and Western liberal values?
Yes, I absolutely am.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you're also anti.
What do people?
Absolutely correct. All the way back from the 20s with women's liberation movements. Under the guise of, no, you are so worthy of working. You're so worthy of making your own money and doing this and breaking the chains and this and that. No, this was a concerted effort to separate the parents and the children from the family. Rockefeller had this one-size-fits-all narrative, which has been heavily documented. Oh God, I'm trying to think of the teacher of the year in New York. What was his last name? Goddard. He wrote beautiful books explaining all of this stuff, this one-size-fits-all narrative, and how it's broken us down. We are technologically advanced right now, but yet so dumbed down. Look at the videos I just showed you, for example. Financially illiterate, signing contracts you know nothing about. The majors that are just being created out of air that you're never going to get a job for, you're never going to make a living with, but it feels good at the moment because it's this fear and divisiveness that's being sold and pushed from kindergarten, middle school, high school, heavily, and into colleges, universities. This right here, they're telling this woman, please wake up, stop gaslighting your own self. Back from the 20s, women liberation, from unions to both parents working, which means now there's more tax revenue being pushed into the system. And then the 60s and 70s, it's free love, it's hippy dippy, but under the guise of, no, this is great, you want this is good. So you got broken homes, broken families, single mothers at best, push for abortion. You're ruining, you remove God, morality, personal responsibility, personal accountability, real art, real music, anything that's beautiful. I mean, look at architecture nowadays. Things are boxes. You have to go through and find old museums that look at Monet, look at Van Gogh, beautiful architecture, sculpting, these arts and trades that are just dying away because it's just not being replenished, because everything is just becoming more and more sterile. You got decades of beautiful muscle cars with V8s and V10s and V12s, and now you have a humming EV that's sterile, looks like a dumpster on wheels. Again, it's just this one thread being pulled after another, one thread after another, and it's just, you look at everything now, and can you understand why there is this great awakening with the way people are voting now, the way things are being communicated now? We've gotten so far away from just a couple of generations ago from the basics. Great food, eat the fat, eat the protein, clean water, clean air, growing your own food, knowing your communities, knowing your neighbors, working together, not being divided. Education went to 8th grade, and now it's just extended, and then it gets extended even more. So now you're in debt, and you're divided, and you're angry, and you don't know why you're angry, but you hate Orange Man, and this party versus that party, instead of just pushing all of that to the sides and just focusing on what is needed. Mom, dad, God, good food, a good home, a good community, the basics. It's so simple, yet it's always simple things that are so effective. And then I just did a simple search on this article, and ironically it's CIA.gov, reading room /docs, and here's this, Miss Steinem CIA connection. I'll read just some paragraphs here. You can pause it and read it. With all the wild charges about the CIA, it is understandable why feminist leader Gloria Steinem is a little touchy about her collaborator. Angered by this, Ms. Steinem called me, the writer of this article, denied any relation with the CIA, and very nicely threatened me with a lawsuit if I did not delete the illusion. Since she came on pretty strong and had caught me downtown away from my backup source material, I complied with eliminated the reference. But after studying the evidence and talked to one of the reporters who originally wrote a news story detailing her relationship with the CIA, and having talked to her at length about the subject, I am convinced that what I originally wrote was fair comment. The source of my reference was February 18th, 1967 story of the Washington Post by Robert Kaiser, reporting Miss Steinem as acknowledging that she had worked closely with the CIA and organized groups of American youth to attend World Youth Festivals in Vienna and Helsinki in 1959 and 1962. There's more information here. It goes down to here. And it just goes back up. You can pause and read it at your time and leisure. But again, they weren't wrong. They're right. And then what the other woman was talking about in the video, this one in the black, was that, yes, I'm educated. Yes, I've done the research and I'm trying to share it with you. But yet you get triggered and angered because this is going against the narrative that you are conditioned and brought up with. So you are taught now, today, watch the screens, go to the school, fluorescent lighting for hours on end. Don't question anything. Just memorize certain things. This is what it is. Trust the science. Okay, everything's set in stone now. Very important to know what's going on, and especially with organizations like WEF, for example, how casual they're talking about torture. Listen to this.
Seeing that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent, that it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neurosciences pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures in the legal system as well? So,
wow, that's amazing.
Having seen that.
Yep. Oh, this one right here, I agree with. This is fantastic.
Brings up tone policing sometimes when people say, well, I agree with you, but I don't like the way you said it. I think it's just because he doesn't meet people where they're at. And I don't think he's
that's a bunch of woman garbage. We have to meet people where they're at.
Do you
Yes.
want the vision that you see for the world? Or
Yeah,
not?
and the vision I see for the world is not going to be met through convincing a bunch of emotional, irrational women that what is reality is non-negotiable.
Why do you
They're
have to be
all just gonna
hateful in your speech?
It's
Like, you
not
never
hateful.
say- you
It's
never-
not.
what about
This
male
is-
passivity?
It's more woman garbage.
You don't have to say it like that, though. You can just say, this is...
That is...
Say it how I want to hear it, is what they're basically saying. It's like people who believe they're furries or men who believe they're women and vice versa. We're not going to play in your world of make-believe. You can't force us. But this woman is demanding, now they're demanding, that you can't say this. Yes, I can. But here's the thing, they don't like it. I mean, look at their faces, look how they're looking down. They're fishing for excuses as to why they don't like what they're hearing. Instead of thinking about what this person is saying, where is it coming from, and just think about it. Hear out both sides and come to your own conclusion. These people are so used to gaslighting themselves so hard, so often. They subconsciously want to question things, but then they get angry because it makes them uncomfortable, because then you have to think and back up what their beliefs are and their viewpoints, and they can't, so they just go, their default now is get angry.
Is tone policing. It's nonsense. This whole, I agree with what you said, but not how you said it. That's bullshit. And this is the problem with giving women power. Because now suddenly everyone's an HR manager. Everyone's a hall monitor.
I just don't understand why you have to say woman in front of it.
Because it's a woman problem. Men don't do this. Men don't constantly go,
Okay, so
actually, I agree with you. I just don't like...
He brings up tone policing.
She's correct. She's absolutely correct. She's correct. Let me know what you think, but personally, I don't care. Just live your best life. But this next video I want to share with you guys, this is very important. Talk about knowing your history, knowing where we came from, how we got here. We have such an opportunity to correct so many wrongs, like this next one. I'm just going to play it. It's so good. It's worth the time.
The Federal Reserve. Why are they so powerful, and why is it that US presidents have no jurisdiction to be able to step on the soil of a privately owned central bank? In my last post, I had a number of people in the comments section stating that US presidents, specifically Donald Trump, had the ability to dismantle a very powerful privately owned central bank. What a lot of people don't understand is how the monetary system actually functions and where the power centres actually are. In a 40-year period between 1865 and 1905, 4 US presidents were shot. 3 of them were executed, whilst 1 of them survived. This was during a time when there was huge debate over whether to set up a central bank in the United States. The presidents that I'm talking about were Abraham Lincoln, 1865, James Garfield, 1881, and William McKinley in 1901, all Republicans, all executed. Theodore Roosevelt came to power and he was shot as well. The only difference was he survived. He too was a Republican. Turns out that the powerful central bankers didn't support the Republicans. But in 1912, along came Woodrow Wilson. Finally, they had a Democrat in office. And Woodrow Wilson wasted absolutely no time signing into life and ratifying the Federal Reserve Act, which was passed in the dark of night on December 23rd, 1913, just 2 days before Christmas, while people were in their homes singing Christmas carols. In the following year, in 1914, the Federal Reserve turned on its printing presses and their dreams came true in a heartbeat. They started printing US dollars that were convertible to gold then at $20.67 per ounce. Interestingly, in the same year, the world went to war, which went for 4 years. During the 4-year war, the only country that was trading gold was the United States. At the end of that war, the Axis nations, the nations that were the enemies of the United States, had to pay war reparations. These were paid under something called the Dawes Plan and were agreed to at the Treaty of Versailles. This, of course, saw the collapse of the Weimar Republic in the early 1920s and, of course, encouraged the credit boom in the United States, which would see the commercial banks lend funds to anybody and everybody who wanted them. The only problem is it caused the complete collapse of the banking system in just 20 years. After the Roaring '20s, which of course was the credit boom, we saw the collapse of Wall Street in the October of 1929, largely due to the printing of currency, the movement of interest rates, and deficit spending. In the June of 1932, in a desperate attempt to save a collapsing US dollar that had only been around for about 18 years at that time, the Federal Reserve decided to lower its interest rates, something that it has just done recently. This was done in an attempt to encourage the common man to start using the dollar and to borrow. Remember that debt is an asset to the central banks, but it is a liability to everybody else. Surprise, surprise, this accelerated the collapse of the US dollar, and Wall Street eventually collapsed to 90% of its original value. By early 1933, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt came to office on March 4, he was faced with the unenviable task of shutting down the entire commercial banking system because it turns out that all confidence was lost and the consumer no longer wanted to use the 20-year-old US dollar. Instead, the man in the street preferred to use his gold coinage, and that's exactly what he did. But Franklin D. Roosevelt, after meeting with the 12 constituents of the Federal Reserve System, decided not to penalise the central banks, but to penalise the man in the street by confiscating gold under Executive Order 6102 on April the 5th, 1933. Franklin D. Roosevelt, once again, was a Democrat president. He was the longest-serving president in US history, serving from March the 4th, 1933 to April the 12th, 1945. A Democrat in office once again. FDR had enormous power. He had the confidence of the people, and he had the backing of the central bank. Franklin Roosevelt would see the closure of 10,000 commercial banks, the confiscation of gold on April the 5th, 1933, the creation of the Glass-Steagall Act, and the creation of the Gold Reserve Act in the January of 1934, which would see not only the rising of the gold price from $20.67 an ounce, which was its confiscation price, to $35 an ounce, debasing the US dollar by 59%, but the blow that would knock out the middle class for 40 years, banning the common man from trading gold at all. Under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, under the eminent domain clause, the decimation of the middle class was well underway as FDR and his Democrat Party threw its weight and confidence completely behind the privately owned central bank, the Federal Reserve. 9 million consumer accounts were wiped from the record. The man in the street was destitute and starving, which is why Franklin D. Roosevelt, instead of penalising the Federal Reserve System, introduced a TME, a temporary medium of exchange, just so mum and dads could put food on the table and businesses could keep their lights on. The only sacrifice that the Federal Reserve made was that they had to give up their gold reserves to the US Treasury, which are claimed to be half of them, 147.3 million ounces, at Fort Knox, Kentucky, which is a military facility, and the other half somewhere, presumably, under Wall Street. The Federal Reserve were issued a cheque for $11 billion back in 1933 on April the 5th, a cheque which they still hold to this very, very day. When Franklin Roosevelt died on April the 12th, 1945, he was replaced by another Democrat, Harry S. Truman. Truman further bolstered the position of the Federal Reserve, not weakened it. You heard that correct. He further ratified their power by creating the 1951 Treasury Federal Reserve Accord. What this document did is, in addition to the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, gave the Federal Reserve virtually unwielding and infinite power over the monetary system.
Yep.
This was at a time after Bretton Woods 1944, when the US dollar was pegged to gold at $35 an ounce at the wholesale level. The man in the street could not trade gold. That was illegal at that time. But the United States was on a silver standard. What people don't understand is that silver could be traded, but coinage only. Silver bullion had been confiscated by Franklin D. Roosevelt in the August of 1934. But here we were in 1951 as Harry S. Truman threw his weight with his Democratic Party once again behind the Federal Reserve, bolstering the Federal Reserve's position. Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Harry S. Truman, all Democrats, all fully supporting the power and the position of the Federal Reserve. The US dollar would trade unilaterally from 1944 to August the 15th, 1971 on a gold standard at $35 an ounce. The problem was that the Federal Reserve, being in charge of the US dollar, would print and continue to print until the US dollar was no longer wanted by the nations that were trading unilaterally. The first of those that kicked up a fuss was President de Gaulle of France, who demanded the very gold that backed the US dollar. He didn't want the worthless paper anymore. There was at least, however, one US president who was a Democrat that didn't agree with the Federal Reserve System. Need I say, he passed away on November 22, 1963, and the ensuing evidence was questionable at best. This appeared to happen shortly after John F. Kennedy ratified Executive Order 11110, attempting to take control of the currency under the Treasury and backing it under the current silver standard that the United States was on. And we all know how that ended. John F. Kennedy would be replaced by Lyndon Baines Johnson, who quickly took the United States to war in Vietnam. Around about the time that President de Gaulle of France was demanding gold in favour of the US dollar, we suddenly had the Apollo moon landings. The timing couldn't have been better. But the then sitting president was now Richard Nixon, who was a Republican, and he was given the task of dismantling the Bretton Woods system so that countries could move to a free floating currency system so they weren't trading unilaterally on a US dollar that had started to fail. As you can see, the power of the Federal Reserve has been ratified by the Democrats, clearly. So here we are in 2024 with a new president-elect, Donald J. Trump, and many people suggesting that he will have the power to dismantle the Federal Reserve Act. What a lot of people don't understand is that the Federal Reserve System is immeasurably powerful. It's also part of a global network of 60-plus central banks that sit under the banner of the world's most powerful central bank, the Bank for International Settlements, based in Basel, Switzerland. Let's not forget that at Bretton Woods in 1944, the United States also set up the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, which seemed to come up with a secondary currency around about the time that President de Gaulle was screaming for the gold in the vaults. That secondary currency has become known as the SDR, the Special Drawing Rights Basket. And once again, the US dollar is part of that basket. So if the US dollar were to fail, it turns out the Federal Reserve have a secondary option. But in reality, the world is now moving to central bank digital currencies. And there are people that keep saying that Donald Trump will dismantle the CBDC. People who say that have no understanding of how monetary systems work or flow. Looking at localised solutions, in my opinion, is highly problematic. In 2011, we saw the rise of the BRICS nations. This is what you call an Axis power shift from the West to the East. There are currently 9 nations that have moved into something called de-dollarization, and they're all members of BRICS. This is exactly why you are seeing the United States trying to antagonize Iran. Because of the 9, Iran is the only player that they can really impact. The BRICS nations are working in conjunction with the world's most powerful central bank, the Bank for International Settlements, with a brand new currency under the title Project Enbridge. In the not too distant future, you will see the collapse of the US dollar as you know it. It will become a token in the form of central bank digital currency. Donald J. Trump has zero impact on the Federal Reserve. And it would be fair to say that he is one of them, as have been all US presidents since Woodrow Wilson. So for those of you that believed somehow that a US president had the power to bring down an incredibly powerful central bank that controls all monetary flow in the United States and potentially around the world, in conjunction with 60+ global central banks and the Bank for International Settlements. If you are thinking that a US president has the power to do such a thing, you are truly mistaken. Make good choices.
I don't know, it was lengthy. I thought it was worth sharing with you guys. It's, again, a lot of people are flooding the market when it comes to metals, which is fantastic, and other trade and barter options are happening more and more. I'm seeing contractors, other businesses taking and accepting gold backs, silver, which is a beautiful thing. We're getting back to the basics again. We've talked about this many times. People wanting real, tangible assets. So do what's right for you and your family. Make a plan and diversify however best that works for you guys. But again, know your history, know what's coming, and be prepared. But talked about getting back to the basics and getting away from, processed foods and crap. Good fat and good protein. This is an interesting video.
So now that it is officially Make America Healthy Again season, let's debunk this whole thing about seed oils, because everyone's freaking out about seed oils and are they really that bad? I think that's probably easy to debunk. So when you Google a meta-analysis of seed oils, like a meta-analysis being a review of all the research, oh look, right there, scientists debunk claims of seed oil health risks, straight out of Harvard. Let's go. See, the internet may be full of posts saying that seed oils and canola and soy are toxic, but evidence doesn't support it, according to experts. All right. Guy Crosby, an adjunct professor at the T.H. Chan School of Public Health at Harvard, has more to say. Let's follow the money a little bit. When you Google the T.H. Chan School donors, you find out that they were renamed when they got the largest grant in Harvard's history, $350 million. It was given by this guy named Gerald Chan, who owns the Morningside Foundation. He's a billionaire from Hong Kong. His brother is also a billionaire. They run the Hang Lung Group. The Morningside Group is a private equity and venture capital group for billionaires. The Hang Lung Group is just its subsidiary, Hang Lung Properties, is one of the largest property developers in Hong Kong. Let's remember, Harvard has a long history of pay-to-play donations with anyone who has a lot of money, regardless of morals and educational value, etc. So anyways, back to scientists debunking claims of seed oil being bad for you. Who is this Guy Crosby dude who is an expert? So it looks like he got his original college degree in chemistry, and then his career was in food chemistry for a while, until he became some hotshot Hollywood cook with some books and some TV shows, and you know the drill. Got a PhD in organic chemistry from Brown in 1969, researching the chemistry of cholesterol. We'll get back to cholesterol here in a second. So then he worked in a whole bunch of giant food corporations in their R&D department. Somewhere I found a story where he was talking about how he got the idea for flavored potato chips back before we had that, and that was what got him into food chemistry, is putting all the flavor dust on chips. So you can imagine what kind of R&D homeboy is doing. So anyways, this PhD in 1969 about cholesterol. Well, if you had read The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Tai Schultz, whose PhD is in nutrition-focused, evidence-based nutrition policy, who's been running nonprofits and writing books instead of working for big food, you would know how she talks about how during those 60s and 70s, when they had just invented all of these alternative oils, they were pushing billions of dollars into all this weird cholesterol research, demonizing sugar, demonizing everything except for the fat that they were producing. And then it was weird. It was for millions of years, humans had just eaten animals and had no problems. There were certain populations of humans, like the Inuits, she goes into in detail, that ate exclusively animals and lived basically just off of only animal fats for huge portions of the year, because there's no plants that grow up there. And they had zero cancer, zero heart disease, zero anything. They were like the healthiest populations you could find. And then we invented all these weird new oils that came out of the war economy of World War II. And suddenly, chronic disease skyrocketed. It's a mystery. Nobody knows. But definitely eating meat that we've done for millions of years is the problem. Seriously, read this book. It'll change your life. It'll change your perception of nutrition. It'll change your perception of food with with all sorts of deep evidence-based stuff, but also with deep follow the money and just common sense, like obvious common sense. So side quest, I realized that I don't actually own this book in physical form anymore. I don't know what happened to my copy. So I went to bookshop.org, which is a great alternative to Amazon. It's like a co-op of local bookstores that gets you all the same books for all the same prices with basically the same kind of shipping. It's amazing, and you're not supporting Amazon. So I picked myself up a copy. This is not a sponsorship. And then the second, not a sponsorship, this is just an app that I was made aware of recently, is Seed Oil Scout Healthy Dining, which I learned about because people kept on coming into Old State Saloon and telling us that they found out about Old State Saloon from the Seed Oil Scout map, which we'll get to in just a second.
That's a great
anyways,
app.
I got curious and I downloaded this thing to see what it's all about. Side note, it does cost money after the first week. I think it's like 80 cents per month or something like that, which is like, I just forgot about it. Yes. Again, this is not sponsored. I've never talked to the people that run this thing. I was just curious. And it's Make America Healthy Again season. So they have this map with all these different markers on it that is user generated. Like we all report on what restaurants have seed oils and what ones don't and how good it is and how much you can trust them. And they got red and yellow, but then they got like cooking is done with healthy fats, good stuff. And then no seed oils on the premises, dying fearlessly. And then some get actually verified. And here in Eagle, Idaho, there are some healthy restaurants, but Old State Saloon gets the check mark right next to a bunch of garbage. It says on the menu on the first page that they don't use seed oils. And as I am good friends with the guy that owns this restaurant, I love these guys. I love their family. They are the best humans around. They live their whole life by this mindset. They care deeply about this ethos. Mark specifically opened this restaurant with this in mind, to feed people healthy food. That goes all the way from having organic liquors and spirits at the bar, having high quality local beers on the taps, and having high quality, as locally as possible sourced food in the kitchen. And side note, I used to work in kitchens for like 10 years, so I snuck in and took a peek and took a photo of their kitchen after hours to see how well they clean it, and it sparkles. Like, I don't know if you've ever worked in kitchens, but how well they clean their kitchen at night says a lot. And this was pristine. Like, I was genuinely impressed. Not easy to clean kitchens. So, you may have noticed that I'm like the grocery store aisle guy, and it's been weird that I've avoided talking about nutrition for almost my entire time on this platform. I've avoided the flame wars. I've avoided like talking about what's in the food because I've just been talking about who owns everything because that's a good way to sort of like get the ball rolling. But I myself had a chronic disease when I was younger and I cured it with food. I have a bunch of deep-seated opinions about food, and they're just opinions, and I've done a lot of research, but I am no expert. Everyone's health is different. Everyone's genetics are different. Everyone's diets need to be different. But there are certain things in our food supply that are poisons, and you need look no farther than the basic statistics about chronic disease and health in America versus how much we spend, and then look around the world and ask what the hell is wrong with us. And the answer is that big money has been big profiting off of big poisoning all of us big and bigger people for generations now. So from now on, you're going to hear me talking a lot more about health, and you're going to see a lot more content about making America healthier again, because the chronic disease epidemic is not just our physical health, it is also our mental and our spiritual health. And I know the election is a touchy subject right now. I understand. I have spent portions of my life on both sides of the aisle. I have good friends on both sides of the aisle. I understand. But healthy food for healthy kids, for a healthy America, that should not be political. And anyone that tries to make that political, I have questions.
On Tuesday, they're going to ban Doritos. Oh, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Right there. That's a fucking bag of Cooler Ranch Doritos. He's saying ban these poisons, and this is the man who will become in charge of America's food.
Like, do you hear yourself, Promania? Do you hear yourself? First off, no one's talking about banning Doritos. They're talking about banning all the poisons that are in Doritos. And second off, yeah, they're great. We get it. Like, yes, Doritos and Mountain Dew are tasty. Why are they tasty? Drugs. There's an awful lot of drugs out there that feel pretty great to do. Doesn't mean they're good for you. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, this pretty much sums it up. Secretary of Health or Secretary of Health. Like, I mean, come on. And here's the big problem is health is up to you. And we all know that. We all know that at a certain level, your physical, mental, and spiritual health is your own fault. It's your own responsibility. And it sucks to take responsibility for being extremely overweight or for having chronic disease or for having any of these other issues. And yes, you are being poisoned. And yes, there are billions of dollars of propaganda that have tricked you from birth, often without your choices, to make you this way. But the solution is up to you, and it's super hard.
Guys, look into Philip Morris, Altria, and I forget the third tobacco company that collectively got together and bought up tons and tons of processed food companies in the 80s and 90s because they put their doctors and their scientists who made cigarettes extraordinarily addictive. They put all that science and research into all of that. Marketing, advertising, the chemicals, the food dyes, everything that goes into the sugars, the seed oils, everything. The minute you put it in your mouth, the brain's being hit with so many signals as, hey, this is exciting, but then there's no nutrition that fills up what your body physically needs on a cellular level. So that's why people are overeating all the time. 20 minutes after you eat, you're still hungry. It's like, okay, why? I just ate. I'm still hungry. Like, give me more. So you eat, and then 20 minutes later goes by, and it's, I'm still hungry, give me more. Vicious cycle, a lot of great information out there. Again, one thread at a time, and we're getting back to the basics. I can't play the music behind here, but let me tell you, this was funny. So I just found out that apparently a lemon isn't naturally occurring, and it's a hybrid. By crossbreeding a bitter orange and a citron.
Life never gave us lemons. We invented them all by ourselves.
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Good evening. We start with breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
We make money
when you
watch the news.
So our only goal is to
try to keep
you watching. We, the media, want you
afraid and
angry at one another. We want to stir up trouble.
We do that
through stories, promoting
fear and outrage.
Every night, this is what we do. Plus, we have some snazzy graphics for you with all the bells and whistles, so we can convince you that every story is urgent.
Even if it isn't true.
Because
it helps make sure that
our ratings are higher than ever, right? I mean, it's been easy money for so long.
Yep, and we're just back to here again. So everything ties in from money, those who control it and print it and charge inflation, to the propaganda and everything. Again, it just all ties very well together. So again, people are waking up, coming up with their own plans. I love it. There's a big freedom movement happening everywhere, especially in New Hampshire with the porcupine freedom movement venture up there. Gold, silver, fractional silver, gold backs, lots of options out there. Learning how to trade, learning how to barter, learning skills. Homeschooling. I mean, there's so many things that I've been awakened to and enlightened to just by homeschooling my family. So it's been great, very eye-opening. I hope you guys got something out of the video. If you did, let me know down below. If there's anything you want to share, again, drop in the comments, help out one another, educate each other. We don't have all the information, but collectively we can work together and make a lot of great things continue to happen. So with that being said, be safe and well, and I'll talk to y'all again next time.